After two spectacular seasons of Spec Miata racing, the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing League launches a new era of racing tonight. A major restructuring of the format for the league and, most exciting of all, a brand new platform for the cars. The exceptional pilots will now be called upon to wield the quickly burgeoning SMX or Spec MX-5 class of car, and early testing has seen it some 6 seconds a lap faster than the still revered Spec Miata car. The series takes a big leap in format, the cars take a big leap in speed, and it all begins tonight at one of the greatest tests on the planet, Sebring International Raceway. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, and welcome to the future. Great to have joining me as well, as always, Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, just some big changes unfolding here for the 2025 year. 2 seasons instead of 3, but longer, different cars. But we can't forget there's still Spec Miata racing that happens on Monday night, just at this point not being broadcast, but it's a launching pad for drivers to work their way up into SMX.
It is, and now with the setup kind of correctly set as the car is modeled in this NC Miata generation, SMX has become a very popular category. It was absorbed into the SCCA recently, is now part of the runoffs. So it's been a really big deal. It's been a popular category for a lot of the drivers that we see here in the simulator tonight. The longer season, that's going to mean you have a little bit more time to build momentum throughout the season and learn who you're racing against, the higher quality driving, because that sort of qualification system. There's a lot to cover, a lot to talk about, but it is a packed field here at a racetrack that we know and love. This is Florida's Sebring International Raceway, Greg. I love racing here. It's a great place to start things off.
It really is. I mean, you can never get enough of this place. I mean, in terms of elevation, there's none. But in terms of every other challenge you can imagine, this place is loaded with it, isn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, 17 corners around here. Sunset Bend, that final one. It's all about the bumps and how you handle them over the course of these races. 2 20-minute events tonight. We run them heat style effectively, with the finishing order of one contributing to the start of the next. And there's a couple places you can get yourself in trouble. Passing opportunities into turns 1, 7, 11, 10 rather, 13 if you're really aggressive, and then of course into turn 17. There are some places to get yourself in trouble. Like I mentioned, Greg, we'll head down to the racetrack. Qualifying already underway, and familiar names already at the top of the board.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely fascinating to see, some of the incredible guns that we're running in Spec Miata. And you can see just a different little look to these cars in a way. But yeah, Morgan Burkhardt, Newell, Rice Puto, Wozencroft, Greenfield, right up at the sharp end of things right now. And really exciting. And as I said, in some of the testing that had unfolded, these cars were not only quite a bit quicker over a lap, but the ability for them to draft also really seemed to step up a little bit. So I think we're going to see even more pack racing. Yeah,
one of the things that the series had done to make these cars drive more like the prior generation NB Miatas in the Spec Miata format was to make them run a little heavier. And so with all that weight gone now, these cars are going to be much more nimble, handle a lot more like a contemporary Mazda Miata. And that means that we're going to see speeds pick up, we're going to see the drafting pick up, and just the ability to change direction. And so the dartiness of them in traffic will be a lot of fun to watch. I think the drivers that are in this series are really well suited for it. There are a couple drivers that don't have times on the board yet. Skip Brock Jr. is one of them, 23rd of 24 drivers at the moment.
Yeah, he's got to put a good lap in here to be sure. Now, one of the interesting concepts here is, instead of having 3 seasons within a calendar year, we're having 2, but instead of being 10 races, they're 15. But there's a commitment from the drivers that are being asked to step up a little bit as well. If you want to really go for the championship, you can only drop 2 races, and it can't be any of the races from the last round. So you've really got to commit to this, and I think that's going to be fun. And we're having one massive awards banquet show at the end of season 2. I think that's going to be really fun as well.
I think so too. There's Deacon Greenfield, a driver that's been persistent towards the pointy end the past couple of seasons, currently 6th on the board right now. And we mentioned with the sort of qualification that is done in the SM series, or has been done in the past, and we'll continue to sort of filter talent through. We've got 24 cars here tonight. All 24 of these drivers have found success in prior seasons here in the Full Send Sim Spec Miata series. So Deacon's one of them, P6 at the moment. I think he'll be happy with this effort.
I think so. Yeah, really, really stout here. Coming up, not a surprise maybe to see Morgan up front. He just seems to have such a feel for things. Do want to point out, boy, since we have one award ceremony this year, I'll tell you what, the season 1 prizes that they're going to be giving out, and I'm sure it'll be even better for season 2. If you win it, remember, you may not necessarily end up going to the guy who is first in points because of that person. Still, those rules apply. If you're an administrator, an instructor, whatever, you're not eligible. But I want you to talk about this one because the ProSim H-pattern shifter, I did a little look, a little web search on that. This thing is mega.
Yeah, there's some really neat prizes, of course, I always love, the H-pattern gearbox stuff because there's not really a lot of cars you can use them with in iRacing any longer. But this particular shifter, it's first of all, it's a 4-digit value if you win this thing, but
Exactly.
It's got really cool mechanics going on underneath it, real physical hardware to make you feel like you're actually going through the gears. And from someone that's had track experience in H-pattern cars, I have an H-pattern shifter that's not of this quality. I promise it will make a difference and make your sim driving even more effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's considered, I think, to be the highest quality H-pattern shifter that currently is out on the market, and developed with the help from a world-renowned company called Quaife Engineering. Second place, it'd be a Butt Kicker Gamer Pro, which provides those chassis vibrations. Third is the SRS speed-sensitive wind simulation. That sounds pretty fascinating to me, to really bring more of that real-world feel into your sim and keep you chilly when it's a hot day.
Yeah, honestly, I run a fan when I run in the simulator just because I get hot. So maybe it'd be simulate like having an open cockpit and having the visor open. Maybe not at 150 mile an hour wind speed, but pretty cool. Sim Racing Studio has that as well. But that'll be the P3 prize for the season. So really neat hardware prizes once again. I love that and how they kind of trickle down as the season goes through.
I do too. I think it's absolutely superb. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about here is for those of you that are wondering, is Spec Miata, is that series still running? It is. It's running on Monday nights, just the previous night. Pretty much mirrors the schedule, but it is now an advancement series. So if you want to eventually race SMX and you haven't run with full send sims, and if you're not, have some massively high qualifications within iRacing, what they would have you do is race a few races in Spec Miata. And if you put together 2 solid consecutive events and you keep your nose clean in those 2 events, you'll be invited to move up here to SMX, which is the broadcast series. And of course, as we've talked about, a little bit more, for the drivers to work with here in terms of a much more responsive platform. So Spec Miata lives, and it lives Monday night. It's just not broadcast, at least now. But whoa, that's Ehrlich, and man, is he throwing it around.
He is all the way out to the curbing at the exit of turn 1, picking up the left rear tire on the entrance to some of these corners as well. And you can just visually see how much more these cars like to dance around, how much faster they're going with this setup and this configuration. So Ehrlich looking good, P7 at the moment. Burkhardt, James Newell. He's not on the track at the moment, but he's had a really solid qualifying effort as of now. A 228.266. It's 7/10 behind, though, Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, Morgan just absolutely scorched a lap early here. And, he's somewhat known for being capable of doing that. Newell, then former champion, Nicholas Rice-Puto right there in the 3rd spot. Andrew Wozencroft, who has just come alive. The 3rd season of last year really put together an amazing year, or a season, a big leap in performance. And then Beans Forrester, always a contender right there in 5th. Greenfield, you talked about. Ehrlich Miaro, nice to see him having such a solid run. And then Wan Chi Lin sitting there 9th, and rounding out the top 10 right now is Manis.
There's Wan Chi Lin in that number 68, familiar sort of golf-inspired livery on that car. Then Hayden Manis running some new colors on it as well. And we mentioned Morgan Burkhardt and how well he's running. No surprise. He just recently signed a 3-year contract to run in the Michelin Pilot Challenge Series in a Porsche Cayman Club Sport GT4 RS. So, he's got the Miatas figured out. Now he's moving up to Porsche Caymans in IMPC. So really cool news for Burkhardt.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a great program. And I'm really excited for him because I think He's got his head wrapped around it. And the nice thing is, from the Spec Miata and Spec Racer real world stuff he's been doing, jumping into a rear wheel drive car after running in the front wheel drive stuff in the Michelin Pilot Series in the TC category is not going to be a huge step for him. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, and he's found some success in that front-wheel drive TCR stuff, but that's a pretty different kind of driving. And so
Yes,
I think this will align really well with his skill set. Qualifying is complete. We'll head down to the racetrack here for the gridding process in just a moment's time. But before we do that, Greg, we'll roll through some of the partners and people that make this all happen. And, of course, we'll start with Full Send Sims and Court Schmidt, who put this all on, put up the prizes, put on the broadcast. Really, the practice makes podium, and Full Send Sims will configure you a state-of-the-art simulator for any application.
Yeah, they just simply do it right. And whether it's building the sim or creating a league here, and they just always seem to step it up, everything they do. Farah is back supporting us as well with the Formula and Automobile Racing Association. Great to have them on board. They are starting their new season in early February, and they're going to, for the first time, be racing outside of Florida. So they got some big events happening as well. 3P Logistics, owned by Frank Rodriguez, is back. They've been with the series since its very start in 2023, as has Final Turn Motorsports and Rob Greenwood, two absolutely stunning prep shops, trackside support programs, and of course Wine Country Motorsports. You may have the right car, you may have all of this, but if you need the right safety equipment, Wine Country is the place you want to go. End of story.
And they've got I think they've got a shop here at Sebring. I've seen it open before.
Yes,
when I was down there for GT World Challenge. So we'll head down to the racetrack here, have a look at the weather on the bottom right of the screen. It is pretty nice, all things considered, for Sebring. 69-degree air temp, 80-degree track temp. Winter time must be not so bad in Central Florida.
Yeah, it's pretty pleasant here this time of year. That's why they call it season, and that's why it gets absolutely overrun with humanity, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. All right, here we go. Cars getting ready to head off. Jay's doing a little slow getting away here in the 123. Based on just the raw pace in qualifying, Kyle, certainly Morgan seems to have things covered here. But one thing we know, qualifying is a different animal completely than the race. And we know Newell's quick. We've seen his speed. We know Rice Budo is. Wozencroft showing that speed. All these guys we've been talking about. Skip Rock did get a lap in. Not the greatest because he only had a short amount of time, so he starts 13th. Trace Hance back there. So there's a few guys and gals that have some speed that are going to be working their way up. Nice to see Sally Mott with us, and she has shown some great pace. So I'm really excited. And you were right about visually being able to see the extra speed in these cars. Just that extra power, that lower weight, all of that. The cars are just so much more responsive. They're more pointy on turning, and everything about it just steps up, and it makes it exciting. And I think this is going to be.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if Burkhardt can back up his qualifying pace. That was so far clear of everybody else that if this is the pace we're going to see out of him all season long, everybody else better start taking note now. The other thing to consider is you documented the better draft. Is that going to be something that keeps him reeled in? I don't know that even with a great draft that you could keep 0.7 of a second a lap at bay, but we're about to find out what this looks like and how much work everyone else has to do to catch down the pro up at the pointy end here.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to this, to see what the response is. And, there have been occasions, as you pointed out, where Morgan has got to the front, just driven away. And he does seem to have this ability to find the absolute maximum speed you can roll through corners without hurting the tires. That just really seems to be a gift that he has. And it applies in real world. When he showed up at the runoffs for the first time in his Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 and put it on pole and in the race, he said, I was in great shape, and then the car broke, but he said, yeah, my tires were great. He just has that gift. But I love the fact that we have that carrot in this series, and it just inspires everybody else to get after him. And we've seen drivers do that. That's what's been fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a little while since I've been in iRacing, and I had just updated the simulator. Again, there was an major update the first week of December, second week of December. I hadn't updated it until a couple of days ago. Things look good in here, I'll have to say. I mean, there have been some minor changes to a handful of racetracks and some artwork and some shaders and things, but it looks fantastic. There are 24 cars on the grid, just shy of it. Andrew Guada and Arifa Zeese, I don't think, took the grid, so or Guada looked like he tried. but we'll start from the pit lane. But nice 2x2 orderly rows all the way back, and a nice quick pace lap. Turn them loose for 20 minutes. That's about 9 laps here.
Okay.
And we'll see.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say too. You know, with all these updates, one thing that isn't changing at all are the bumps in 17 and 1.
There is one major update I will mention, because I don't know if it'll be a huge deal tonight, but they made a major update to on-track debris, from marbles to gravel to smoke and dust and mud and grass and that sort of thing. And from experience in a 4-hour endurance race I did, marbles and gravel make a much bigger deal on the racetrack than they used to. So we'll see if that is a factor in such short races, or if people are bringing grass and dirt and mud back on course, and if they can keep it on the concrete and the asphalt here in the FSS SMX Series here, Greg. Here we go.
Well, like this series, iRacing making gains as always. Here it is, 2025. We're underway. We are green. Great start by Andrew Wozenqua, popping to the outside there, trying to see if he can use that wider lane in. And Burkhardt protecting way deep down inside. Trace Hans, big move, wide entry as well. Look at Wozencroft trying to hang on to it. He's running wide. Managed to keep it tight, as did Hans. So far, so good. But look at Rice Pudo. He snuck through and picked that spot up, grabbing second away from Newell.
Deacon Greenfield had to lift. He was going to be 3 wide into turn 3. That doesn't work so well here. Nice, clean, orderly start, all things considered, with just, I think it was Wan Shi that was a little bit wide there at the exit of the opening corner. And now they're single filed out. Burkhardt and Rice Pudo. These two have tangled in the past. And speaking of tangling, Skip Brock's around.
Oh, boy. Yeah. And it looked like, was it just him by himself?
We'll get a look at a replay in a little bit, but it might have been.
Yeah.
Oh, contact, and the 80's going to go around.
Oh, Wozencroft tapped, and that was, I couldn't see who got him. Was that Deacon?
It was.
Well, now there's, they got some work to do coming from the back. And we'll see what happens here. And I'm sure Wozencroft is absolutely gutted after a top 4 qualifying run. That was spectacular. Look at this, Wan Chi Lin side by side with Trace Hans. Trace trying to make it stick around the outside. The 181 of Zach Ehrlich Ehrlich right in there as well.
And Elliott Burton in that number 6 car watching from behind, trying to snag a spot or two if he can. So with all that out of the way, let's quickly take a look and see what happened to Skip Brock at the start. That was the 33 of Court Schmidt that got a little wide on the curbing. It turned him around, and then here's what happened to Greenfield and the 80 of Wozencroft. Little checkup, stack up, and contact from the 65.
Oh boy.
And then Greenfield got tagged at the end.
Yeah, Greenfield was, man, he got tagged twice too, and he was just an absolute innocent bystander there, wasn't he? He's got some problems. You see how bad that car going into right-handers. I think that contact right at the end has completely knocked his alignment out.
Yeah, there's a couple of cars that are hurt.
Whack.
I think Seth Spolman took a pretty good hit there as well for the lead. Rice Pudo up the inside at Sunset Bend. He stole it, picked the pocket of Burkhardt, and he's through to the top spot.
Yeah, look at Burkhardt trying to cut back underneath. That's the counterpunch move. But as long as Rice Pudo can stay put around the outside, again, that tightens up the run. But look at the speed Burkhardt carried even in that scenario here, and is able to get back in front, but he's on the outside. Nice little bump there from Newell, giving Rice Pudo a shove down the inside. Side by side, coming up the exit of 1. And what a job. And I'll tell you, that was some classy driving by Rice Pudo. He could have easily drifted over into Burkhardt.
Yeah, Beans Forster is in this mix as well, right to the inside of the 123 and Newell. They'll tuck back in for 5 and 6. But Rice Pudo didn't come here to sit behind Burkhardt. They are going to play out front. And here comes Wan Shi Lin to the inside of Hayden Manis. That was tight.
Yeah, really, really close. And I'll tell you, the guy who's on the move is Trace Hans. Remember, he had started back in 12th. He's up to 6th already. And has been able to take advantage of a couple of bobbles here and there, but doing an absolutely superb job and having a solid run. Now he's got some ground he's got to make up to get up to Gianni Morrow, who is having a superb race as well. Top 5 for Gianni.
These front 4, I think we're going to continue to see this group accordion back together lap after lap. Rice Pudo is able to hang with Burkhardt, and once they start to dance with each other, it brings Newell and Forster right back into the mix. All the while, Wan Shi Lin, Elliott Burton going at it for 9th.
Wan Shi dives down to the inside. Burton going to stay put around the exit at 10. Boy, that's a tough one to do around Cunningham. Now through Collier. and now up into the incredibly important tower turn. And I think Wan Chi, that was a very smart move by Wan Chi, I think, Kyle, because if he'd fought that, they both would have been really slow out of tower, and a guy who's right on their 6 would have been coming after him. Bob Mueller Jr. would have had easy pickings, maybe.
Yeah, good play to get single file in places like that. Burkhardt sliding the tires a little bit with Rice Pudo on the heels. All the curbing. You see the drop the tire in the dirt there. See some of that grass flying up I talked about earlier.
I love the fact that they've updated that because, again, at this stage, everything is trying to simulate real-world racing, and the fact that in a real-world car, you come into a corner that's got a bunch, beans, late lunch down into the inside of Newell, and Newell, as a result, opened the wheel up. I think he was thinking about that counter move, but talk about putting your car in the perfect spot for Beans.
Got his heart rate as well, 142 beats per minute. And we'll see, and that's as high as it's been. We'll likely see it climb a little higher, but you were making the comment about the updates to the particle systems and things, the grass and the debris and the dirt. It is a really cool effect. It's hard to see in anger sometimes, but when they run just a little bit wide and kick up that dust and dirt and debris, it looks so neat. The way that it gets picked up on the racetrack now, and how much more effective it is at reducing grip. That was the thing I noticed in the endurance race I did, was offline in marbles is a bad time now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's real world, and that's what this, this concept is all about, especially with full send sims. Practice makes podium, and they're talking about practicing here to go racing in real world if you want. And I love that aspect because now you can't just, throw the car anywhere around the track and, through dust, debris, junk, and have grip. That's just not real. And now they've adjusted for that. I love that.
That a little wide goes the 6 of Elliott Burton. We'll watch him pull some of that grass right back onto the racetrack.
There it is.
But the grass and dirt I don't think was as big of a deal as the marbles. I don't know that we'll see a lot of marble generation with only 24 cars in 20 minutes. But it is something for some of the longer races that I saw. We did a 4-hour race with GT Fords at Road Atlanta. There were 45 cars, and within about 20 minutes, it was a real mess out there.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
That bad, huh?
Yeah.
Just taking a look back in the field a little bit here. Cord Schmidt, after that moment, he's got himself in 14th, Deacon back in 15th after, again, being that innocent bystander. I think, as we said, that car is a little bit wounded, but he is hounding Court right now for that 14th spot.
Take the eyes off the leaders.
You called it. Yeah. Well, look at Beans with that pass now. Now the question is Newell going to be able to stay with these 3?
Yeah, it looks like he's struggling a little bit right now, but once these 3 start to fight, and I don't think Forster is willing to just sit back here. Again, these cars are drafting well. They're able to keep pace with Burkhardt, but nobody's going to sit here and ride in line. It's just not as, pack racy as the Global MX-5, the ND Miata, so you have to take your opportunities when they are presented to you.
Yeah, Beans looked like he went for the full streamline effect, even with the beard.
Yeah.
He's got that really tighty and slippery right now. All right, here we go. And this is where Newell really, he has got to hit everything, his marks correct here. And Rice Pudo right now is trying to work with Morgan and make a break. And as I say that, he says, nope, I'm going to go for the lead here. Watch for Morgan do that counter move. He's so adept at that. Rice Pudo covers it. Boy, both of these guys now are going to be really slow up here into and out of 3 potentially. That may be just what Newell needed. Yep, he's pretty much glued onto. Oh, and a big off in the back. Trace Hands just went straight off and won.
Buried in the tire bundles there, and the right front suspension on that car has seen better days.
Oh boy, yeah, flat tire, the whole shebang.
Yeah. What happened to him?
I don't know.
Oh, this was early on.
Oh, so he and Ehrlich got together.
It is Ehrlich in the 181. They come out of turn 1 side by side, and then right here he comes across the road. Hans does. Big tank slapper.
Yeah. So it wasn't in 1, it was up into the entrance of 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think he just thought he had cleared Ehrlich.
Just drifted over a little too far and they tangled.
Yep.
Rice Pudo hung on to the lead with that defense out of 1. The last time he didn't get there, and Burkhardt was able to take it right back.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's, part of the thing is you study your opponent here. and try and figure out, okay, that's his counter move. I've got to address that next time. And Gianni Mauro, who's been having one of his best races, has just not been able to stay in touch with that lead quartet right now. And Newell drifts backward too, doesn't he, until the guys up front start fighting. He's just close enough that when they start, ooh, did you see the air that Burkhardt had over that curb?
Yeah, he got plenty of it. We'll have another look at it here in just a moment. And this is one of the topics of this sequence in iRacing that seems to be pretty aggressive at times, as those, if you catch that curb, the lip on it, it will send you for a ride. Let's see if Burkhardt goes for the lead in 17.
Well, we saw this previously where Bryce Puto was shoving Burkhardt and then popped to the inside. Burkhardt at this point opts not to give that a go. Runs that little wider line in. Look at Beans opening the wheel of Newell way wide. Oh, he just was so lucky not to get that wall.
Burton and Bob Mueller Jr. That's 60 cars come up quite a ways from 15 to 8. And for the lead, thought they were going to go for it, but they did not.
Settled in, but and now they've got Newell covered by over a second and a half.
Oh, big lateral slide. Burkhardt caught the grass with the right rear tire on the entry and sent that thing for a little bit of a ride.
Boy, it's just fun to see just how these cars point into a turn now, isn't it?
It is. Ragged tires in the grass on the right.
Stuff flying everywhere. Burkhardt showing that nose just a little bit here. Now, when you're in a draft this tight, it's not super hot here for Sebring, but when you're just jammed up behind that car, it's this battle. Another good one. There's that Mueller, that's Burton going through, and Wanchi trying to use him as a blocking back. Did he get it done? He's got position, I think.
I know the question you're gonna ask, so I'll finish it for you. Is following the car ahead, does that cause your engine to overheat or anything of the sort? Absolutely it does. And it's a lot worse if you have any kind of front end damage in particular. So the radiator effectiveness is really cut down when you have any damage. It's not something that you have to think about all the time with low ambient temperatures, but yeah, if you're stuck up behind someone really tight in a big draft in a hot day, it is something, especially in the stock cars in iRacing, that is something that will affect you a lot.
And, the other thing I was going to ask, going back to last year, remember when they made that update about the damage on the cars?
Yep.
And they started to see if you just had that, you just tapped the guy in front of you, it just got that little wrinkle in the nose in a draft sometimes. Do you think in this evolution now, the SMX car, is that going to be as profound?
I was actually going to bring that point up because I don't think they've solved that problem, but I do think that you're right in assuming that it would be less of a big deal because you have a little extra straight line speed. You have a little more, I guess, torque relative to the weight of the car. So I don't think it'll be as big of a deal. It's not going to help, but I don't think it'll hurt as bad.
Sure. Yeah.
I think in general damage won't hurt as bad on with this evolution.
That's cool. It's just obviously it's nice to just got a little bit more pep to be able to counter stuff. Ooh, Burkhardt got a nice run there. And here's Skip Rock, Greenfield, Court.
Ooh, Lozencroft going for a slide. Way offline there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Newell running off. That doesn't help. And behind him, well, Morrow got back in front.
I'm impressed with
Ehrlich and Burton.
Ehrlich's damage, how well he's doing. This kind of proves our point that damage isn't as big of a deal as we used to think.
Wanchi Lin has gone amiss, hasn't he? He's dropped way back at this stage, about at least a second or so. Oh, here we go.
It's chasing each other.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, Ehrlich looking to the inside. He's there. Morrow trying to stay with him. Can't. Ended up opening that door up just a little bit. Hayden Manis is going to attack you. We saw him, particularly season 3, come up with some really, really stout, aggressive, but clean drives.
Morrow wanted the middle, and Hayden Manis.
3 abreast into Cunningham.
That didn't work, and now they're all single file, but
exactly.
Worked for Manis, though. He's up 1.
Yeah, he did. He got through. So just that quick. Morrow's had one of those races, been up as high as 5th. Now he's sitting in 7th.
All the while,
they are having one heck of a run here.
Up at the front, things are really tight between these top 3.
Look at this. I'm looking at the attitude of these cars, and it's going to take a few races to really kind of get a feel for it. But I wonder if Morgan, well, as I say that, he's going to take a look down to the inside. I was wondering if he was like saving tire a little bit. Boy, way down to the inside here. Look at this. There goes Beans.
Bryce Budo is going to try to hang the outside. I thought he might try to tuck in, but he's going to try to roll the outside.
Yeah. Ooh. Morgan got way tight to the inside, and it really unloaded the car a little bit, but he held on to it.
How does Bryce Budo have momentum going forward? He does, but he's trapped between the wall and the 67. Will he juke to the right? He will not. Forster does.
Oh, no. Yep. This 3 abreast almost into 1 here. Watch for Beans to cut down underneath everybody here if he played this right. Oh, and Forrester sensed it coming, drifted over. That was eyes in the back of your head defense, wasn't it?
It was, and Burkhardt just did to Bryce Budo. Bryce Budo did to him. Yep. Down the inside, ran wide, then covered off the entrance into 3. Great racecraft there. About 3 laps to go.
And again, Newell just about that 2.5 or so back of the group. Then a big gap back to Manis, Ehrlich, Morrow, then Burton, Lynn, and Josh Clatterbuck having a good run up into the 10th spot right now.
There he is in the 101. Nice livery on this car.
Yeah, it looks sharp, doesn't it?
And Morrow and Ehrlich side by side here into turn 7.
Morrow is being look at the move by Morrow. Went around the outside of Ehrlich and then dove underneath Hayden Manis. Wow. That was superb. What a move.
That was cool.
It sure was.
I'm sure he'd like to do that again, but he's got to gain about 8 seconds to have a shot to pass 2 cars again. And then there was more battles, Wanshi Lin and Elliott Burton, and then Friedhofer, Greenfield, and Schmidt. Battles all over the racetrack, maybe not as tightly packed in as Global MX5 racing, but you get little packs throughout the racing surface, which I always find fun. It keeps you looking.
Oh, absolutely. Nice move there by Wanshi. Just a nice clean-out braking move down to the inside of Burton.
So now, at the front, and trouble for Deacon Greenfield. Let's have a look at how this has transpired. This is the second time we've seen the contact from the 33.
Yeah, Court just clouded that curb, and Deacon right in front of Wozy again.
I was going to bring up that Burkhardt had gained about a half a second, but that half a second is quickly getting eaten down. I also want to know, have a look at the cloud cover on the one half of the racetrack.
Yeah.
It is getting dark over there and a little more humid, it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not at more humid, but it is, the track temp has dropped a handful of degrees, almost 10 degrees.
Yeah, that's significant, obviously, for these now very worn and heated tires.
And white flag. This is going to be our. It's close though. It's so close to not being white. 2 minutes 28 to go.
Yeah, this is it. This is going to be it. First race of 2025 with the new SMX format. And whenever Burkhardt makes a move, he's got intent to it. So he must have felt something here.
I almost wouldn't believe it was white flag if it wasn't for the actual white flag. The timing and scoring still thinks there's 2, but.
Yeah, it sure does.
The flagger is the final say, is what I've learned here in iRacing. Once the white's out, it's out.
Look at this crap. Yeah, look at this. This is phenomenal stuff. Hayden Manis diving down to the inside of Morrow. Ehrlich right there.
This has been a fun scrum here, isn't it?
Oh, it's superb.
And I thought Bryce Budo might go for it. He's waiting.
I did too. Yeah.
All right, back to this one.
They're good everywhere. Okay, Manis now raising the back. The Morrow now, but Morrow defends beautifully. Now just don't overshoot and let Manis square up underneath you. And Zach Ehrlich says, well, he ran a little wide. See what I can do here. Manis going to try and squeeze him. And had enough exit speed to clear him.
Have to work pretty hard to eat up that half a second they lost to Morrow at the exit of 7. Now that he's dealing with Ehrlich.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Lynn all over Burton in the back with Mueller, Clatterbuck right there as well. Up front, nothing between these leaders again.
There were tire marks in the dirt that weren't there a lap ago, and I think they were from Rice Budo. He is all over the back of Burkhardt.
Yeah, through this great sequence of corners here.
He goes
Dives
for it.
to the inside. Wow, that's brave.
I'm curious to see how this pans out because Beans Forster is going to have the pick of the litter here at the end. Out of turn 16,
right.
Here he comes.
Oh, he's going to get a double toe. Opts to go with Rice Budo here. Going to try and push their way through on Burkhardt. Burkhardt staying right with him. Now Beans pops to the other side. Burkhardt senses it, moves over to defend that, opens up the inside lane for Rice Budo. And right now, Burkhardt the guy that might be helping Rice Budo. Oh, they both hit and off they go. You saw it, Kyle.
And coming to the checkered flag, Beans Forster steals it away as the front two collect each other in Sunset Bend.
And Newell, just by staying as close as he could, ends up on the podium. Looks like Rice Budo was maybe able to get going in time. Limping, it's going to be close. Ooh, we got it.
Holy cow, that was tight.
Unbelievable. Then Morrow, Manis, Ehrlich, those great battles. Who ended up on top of the Burton? Burton
Burton by 11 thousandths of a second.
Oh, what?
Crash post checker there, and then Al Ducharme and Wayne Buttermore are not quite done racing. Oh, way out
they're
wide.
Going after it. That says a lot to me here. I mean, look how far these guys are back there a little bit. It's a battle for 17th, and they're just scrapping as hard as anybody out there.
Wow.
Well, what a start to the 2025 season, Kyle.
I'll say. I mean, let's go back and have a look at that. It was over here at turn 17. This is just Rice Budo and Burkhardt just got tangled.
Yep. Burkhardt trying to make that outside move. Right there. Oh. And, normally, you got to think when, Burkhardt, did he squeeze him? He was behind. He couldn't squeeze him. So did he turn in a little bit?
I think he turned in a little bit too abruptly there. I don't know that there was a lot Rice Budo could have done different in that.
I don't think so. I mean, he was clear. He was two-thirds of a car length clear easily.
Either way, it hurt Burkhardt a lot more than it did Rice Budo.
Yeah, big time.
So for Rice Budo, he ended up salvaging a P3 out of that. And Morgan Burkhardt, I have him scored 24th. Is that what you have him?
Yes, I do.
That's last.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Oof.
That was brutal for him to be that far back.
Well, all right, race one out of the way. What did we learn? They're racy, these things, aren't they?
They are very racy, and as we said, they seem to draft really, really well. But you can make up a little bit more ground with that draft too, I think. And that to me is going to be one of the exciting things here. Is that you can, if you drop back a little bit, you've got now, especially if you get a good exit, you've got an opportunity to make up a little bit more ground in the draft a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think also, the different little packs that are breaking out, there's a lot more volatility in them than I recall, where usually, with the previous car, the way that we had them set up, if you were about a half a second, 6/10 back, it took you a long time to eat back into the advantage. But here, the ebb and flow seems to be so much more extreme that we saw drivers fall half a second back and then quickly eat the ground back up, and we saw battles all through the field. So I'm expecting more of the same in race 2. Low attrition at the start, but we saw people get tangled more and more towards the end as the aggression level picked up.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing was we only had, one incident on that opening lap, and then, there were a few as the race unfolded, but it was a lot cleaner opening lap, and that was nice to see. And, the other part of it that I think is really kind of cool here is the simple fact that, as you pointed out, with that, when you're battling with somebody, you're still going to lose the same amount of time you did with Spec Miata, right? Time lost is time lost. But with the speed of these cars, as you said, the guy who is chasing is going to be able to eat that up quicker. And I think it's really boding well for some good stuff. As we're watching here, just a little bit of this action. Next round of the championship, I mean, the schedule that they've got set up here, Kyle, is phenomenal. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and the Speed Bowl, then Daytona, then Homestead on the Road Course B using the oval. Sebring again here. Indy, Willow Springs. I love that place. That's cool. Lime Rock, Road Atlanta, Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. How about Sonoma Raceway, the tire chewer?
I love Sonoma, and
I do too.
I think the last time that we did it, we did the short configuration, the contemporary NASCAR circuit.
I think so.
We're doing the full course this time, so we get the carousel and everything, and you bring up the tire chewing. We just talked about the marbles and that introduction. That's going to be something to worry about. And then, of course, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That raced really well the last time that we were there, Greg, so that'll be fun. And then Summit Point Raceway, a free track in iRacing. It's one of the places that you start your iRacing career, just like Lime Rock Park. It'll be a high participation week, I'm sure.
I would think. That should be a blast. Then we wrap up season 1 with VIR, Road America, and Watkins Glen. I mean, come on. That's just phenomenal. Yeah, I really hope that I get to actually call the Mid-Ohio race.
Yeah, I think we've been there twice, and I think both times you had a conflict.
I had to miss it, yep.
Yeah, but it's that place is a fun racetrack. You know, had you heard or seen the updates to Turn 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had heard about them. Haven't seen them.
Looks interesting. I mean, they basically just raised all the runoff so that you weren't like dropping off into a pit, but they've also taken 2 degrees of camber out of Turn 4. So a little bit of a reprofiling. It's going to be interesting when Grid Life goes there. We'll see. I'm not even sure if we'll count the track lap times the same or if it's that big of a deal or not. So whether or not there's records to break, that sort of thing.
Yeah, should be interesting. But it's significantly different, huh?
I think it might be significant enough to alter lap times. In such a high impact portion of the lap, but that's something that won't be represented here in iRacing, at least not yet. I am curious if we will get Sonoma in March. That would be the first week of March that we would get that build, so we could get the new Sonoma in time for our SMX Series race here.
Oh, that could be cool. Has there been any further developments in terms of the rain?
There was some changes. I don't know the details of it. I think they broke a couple things with it on the launch of the season, so there's a patch coming tomorrow, I believe. No advancement yet on the rain tires for this car, but I do think that we will likely see that at some point this year, whether it's Season 1 or Season 2, I'm not sure yet.
Okay. That just add an interesting element, won't it?
It will. And that's one of the things I had thought in the back of my mind when I noticed that the cloud cover was looking a little suspect, but reminded myself that we can't yet have rain with this car. But there definitely is a lot of varying weather here today. A lot more than I recall seeing.
Yeah, thick clouds. And obviously, that sure looks hazy and humid in the background, doesn't it?
But then the other side of the racetrack, I mean, it doesn't look quite so bad.
Yeah. And, obviously cloud cover cools the track a little bit. And that never hurts the tires, even in a short race, when you're using those tires up. Interesting here, looking at the starting lineup for the second race, you talked about how costly it was for Burkhardt with Nicholas Rice-Puto just managing to limp across. And I think he got through on Gianni Morrow by like a foot. It was unbelievably close, but still podium points. But Forster Newell, great start to the season, and also for Rice-Puto. And Gianni Morrow, what a race he put on.
Yeah, he did a really nice job with that. I was trying to Control A and erase a bunch of text, and I hit my Mac keyboard keys, which are not. I'm using 2 different platforms and struggling. But yeah, James Newell did a nice job. Gianni Morrow did an excellent job. Some new names, I think, that we're going to see a lot more towards the front of the field this season.
Yeah, Zach Ehrlich was really fun to watch in this one. And Skip Brock, having that problem early, came back, finished 11th. So good run for him. And Andrew Wozencroft, Wozy had that great qualifying run, got booted to the back early, and he fought his way up into the top 15. So they have opportunity here, those guys do, to be able to move up a little bit.
There's Wozy, P13 for the start. I see some trophies and checkered flags in the background, too. That bodes well, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I know what one of those trophies is.
Check a couple other drivers out. Josh Bakari, it looks like he's got some stuff on the wall as well.
Yeah. So cool to see him getting involved in this and also doing some real-world racing. He's sort of the right-hand man, if you will, for Cord. in full send sims, and just does an incredible job with the company, and is evolving into a pretty solid racer as well.
Left-hand side of the screen, that's your starting lineup, and it will be based on the results of the last race. So Beans Forster and James Newell sharing that front row. Newell started there in race 1, got shuffled around a little bit. Big opportunity for Nicholas Rice-Puto. Missed out on the win in race 1, but the nemesis he battled all that race is going to start dead last. Yeah, absolutely. And for Beans, who's still searching for that first championship, he's always been there. He's been so fast, so close. And for Rice-Puto, won that championship and then struggled a little bit last year. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Great opportunity for him. Be interesting to see here what Wan Chi and Hayden and Burton are going to be able to do. Starting this far up as well. They just showed some really, really good racing in that first race here. So I just love this, this sort of switching things up a little bit here, and it's really going to be fun to watch. It almost just feels, and maybe this is totally a what do they call it? What's like when you take placebo effect, maybe? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, but it feels like the cars are louder. Now, I have the audio set exactly where it typically is. It just feels like everything's a little bit turned up. And I think... Well, you know what? You're not alone in that, because during that race, it seems so much easier to hear when they picked up the throttle. Well, I think that might be... I don't think that is actually a placebo, though. I'm justifying this by saying the cars were carrying extra weight before, so everything was muted, and meaning when you picked up the throttle, there was a little bit more of a delay, so everything was a little less responsive, and it just building RPM took longer. So I think that there is maybe some truth to that. Yeah, well, I think that's a good point you bring up. Is when you get up onto the pipe a little bit sooner, that pipe gets louder sooner, doesn't it? So it's really, really cool here. And all right, here we go. I noticed Beans is still giving us the foot cam as well, so that's fun. Track temp, nice chilly 77. That's great. And you brought up the pedal cam that Beans does. His heart rate's actually higher now than it was in the middle of the race last time. That's a good point. Oh, sorry, that was peak 153. It's 128 right now. Oh, that's what it is. All right. A peak of 153 beats per minute. That is a workout. That is a workout, folks. Anybody who say these aren't actual real racing cars, this is a sim, and you're still seeing those level of heart rates, you tell me that pro race car driver, any race car driver, aren't athletes. Give me a break. Well, we'll check in on this in the heat of the battle. But time to go racing, 20 minutes again. Race 2, round 1 of the Full Send Sims SMX Series in 2025, Greg. Here we go. Watch for it. Race 2, we're green. And, Rice-Puto looking down to the inside. And he's going to get a nice shove from Hayden Manis. Looks like Morrow trying to give Newell a little bit of help here, and Beans might get swallowed up just a little bit, Kyle. 3 wide, and he's center of it, and Newell's out wide, and cars spearing off course. Schmidt's around in turn 1. And he's got suspension damage as well. Yeah, he does. Look at that left rear. Oh, Manis is in the middle. So tight through here. Manis now finally able to get clear on Wan Chi, who got trapped a little bit wide out, but Manis overshoots. That's going to hurt his momentum. Might give Wan Chi and Burton a shot down into turn number 7, into the hairpin, and Burkhardt into the pits. Yeah, I think he was involved in that turn 1 collision. This will go from bad to worse for his championship hopes, and we're only in the first round. Newell on Forster here for turn 7 for third. But look at Morrow. What a start Johnny has put together here, and has jumped up into second. And it was just that Newell running wide and Beans getting swallowed up, and Johnny Morrow was the man in the right spot and popped through. Manis now up into 5th. And Wan Chi, Len, and Burton, they're at it again. They are, and Wan Chi clears Burton. That was a decisive slide across the nose of the 6. Yeah, it was, and it may have just backed Burton up into the grasp here, and there he goes, taking a look down to the inside. Skip Brock Jr. And Skip, he gets that curve. Skip was aggressive on the start of the race. He was right up against the concrete wall on driver's left, trying to make up ground there. As Burton tries to cling on to 7th place, here comes Friedhofer to the outside. Outside, oh man, he ran a wide line.
trying to just flow. That was amazing by Jim Friedhofer.
It was. Oh, contact Greenfield, sideways off the bumper of Clatterbuck.
And that's going to give Wozy an opportunity here in that 80, the red top and the yellow bottom. He wasn't able to do much with it, and as a matter of fact, here comes Trace Hans. Wozy just kind of got trapped. Thought he had an opportunity there, and then got trapped in the wrong spot. And Hans pounces. Nice move by Hans.
Rosencroft might try to pick the pocket again here, though, as these three get tangled. Oh, didn't get into gear, though.
Oh, yeah, you can hear that little miss. Good ear, Kyle.
And that's what it's all about, getting through the gears cleanly. That having that H-pattern shifter as the prize at the end of the season might be kind of nice.
Yeah, no kidding. And as you said, 4 digits in terms of the cost of that thing. That's...
Oh, gosh, everybody running out wide there in turn 1.
Big time. I think that's Buttermore in the back. I think. Oh, and a tap there.
Going for
what a save by Burton.
That was cool.
Unbelievable. How did he hang on to that? That was spectacular.
Watch this. He's going to get in here pretty hot, the 32 does, and then gets tagged in the left rear corner. Look at the steering and the hands inside that car. Wow.
That was, what a save.
That was cool. And he's going to be in the middle of a 3-wide scenario, on the outside of a 3-wide scenario here, isn't he?
Yep, there goes Mueller diving down to the inside here. I was watching Trace Hans in the background. He got a really nice run through the hairpin. See if he's going to be able to do anything here with the 6 of Burton. Yep, he got the run coming up the inside. It's all momentum, isn't it, Kyle?
It is. You got to carry it even with this adjustment from the SM setup. These are still momentum cars. We didn't turn them into Mustangs overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Forster really wide on the curb entering Tower to try to build a run on Morrow, who's holding his ground here, but they are slightly losing some to Nicholas Rice-Puto.
Yeah, last lap, Nick ran a 25.3, Morrow 25.5, Beans 25.6, so, excuse me, 35, I'm saying. So, yeah, Morrow, he's doing it. It's just an incredible start to the race here.
Oh, Forster a little bit wide there at 16.
And runs wide as a result at the exit as well. And that's going to bring Newell right up into the equation here as they head into 17. And then look at this angry little scrum. Trace Hans dives to the inside of Friedhofer.
Bob Mueller is going to watch this and wait, most likely. Pick the pocket on the exit. Watch the 53 if he slides out here. He's in there pretty deep.
Yeah, he was.
Ooh, almost clipped the wall.
Oh, and it's so close there. Friedhofer, and Mueller almost touching.
Margins are tight here, huh?
Oh, my goodness, aren't they? This is phenomenal here. And again, just doesn't matter. I mean, these guys battling like crazy for 8th at this stage. Look at this straight line to the apex move by Friedhofer.
Second place, under fire. Here comes Forster.
Dives to the inside, turn 3. Look at that. Johnny's saying, I'm going to try and fight you, but now he gets trapped on the outside, and I think Johnny there was a little bit lucky to be able to get it turned back in and not have Newell come after. But not only that, Johnny got it turned back in and did it with a good head of steam.
Yeah, his defense
easing
has been
ahead
stout.
here.
He is, and he's going to clear him. Not quite clear him. He did. Wow. And he's on the tail of Rice-Puto. Oh, man, here comes Forster. He spooked him.
Yeah, he did. Mara just overshot just a little bit, I think.
Nicholas lost a bunch of ground. Seems slow.
Yeah, maybe he made a little bit of a bobble somewhere. Here comes Beans. Does he have the overlap he wants? Now he's going to get some help. Morrow giving him a little shove.
Hayden Manis joins the club.
Yeah, he was so impressive as the year ended last year. I'm not surprised to see him come up here and be a serious player this year at all. Boy, Bean, I'll tell you. Morrow was not going quite. Look at that. Oh, and a little wiggle there. I don't know whether it was a tap or whether Beans just got loose.
Feels like Rice-Puto is struggling right now.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, he seemed to have so much pace.
He's just bottled everybody up behind him. I don't know if this is an intentional maneuver to maybe create some chaos that could separate him in the future, but that would be like playing 4D chess. We live in a 3D world, Greg.
That's right. Well, what he's doing here is he's pulling a Burkhardt. Because Morgan's talked about that, when he didn't think he had the speed to just pull away, he'd slow down a little bit from the lead and try and build these packs and hope it created, as you said, chaos behind him. Now we see Nicholas easing away.
I think there's some strategy to what he's doing right now.
I think so too.
Especially without the volatility of having Burkhardt up there.
Yeah, exactly. And Burkhardt out for the second straight race. Newell. Well, I'll tell you, Johnny is just unbelievably good. Look at that, 3 wide exit of 17. And that outside line proves to be a little bit quicker.
Wanshi Lin setting up to just steal 5 spots here in one corner.
Exactly. Oh, except he got not purposely brake checked, but as Hayden had to slow down for the turn right as Wanshi was trying to make something happen. Look at this. We're going to be 3 abreast into turn 3.
How much longer can that last? It can't.
No. Oh, boy.
Oh.
That was a serious hit for Newell and also Morrow. I don't know how badly he may have been damaged there. Not bad enough.
Bad enough for both of them. That is a shame with how great both of their races were going. And there's too many cars. I mean, this is just classic too many cars, too small of a space.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, something's got to give. And it isn't like Beans just turned down hard on either of them.
No, it's just
he tried to give them some room, but eventually that road, you exit 3, 4 comes up, bends the other way, and Beans really didn't have much option.
Now Nicholas Rice-Puto, having successfully completed his game of 4D chess, now has 2 fewer drivers in his rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Wanshi Lin up to 3rd.
Yeah, he's having a great run, and he did get a win last year. And he's, it's been interesting because he's much more open wheel prototype background, but he is starting, and I think he's going to have more fun driving this version of this car, just with it being a bit more responsive.
I think so too.
Look at Mr. Brock. After not getting the great qualifying in the first race, and maybe paying the price from being mid-pack and getting involved in that incident, has fought his way up to where we know he has the speed to be, and that's just been a great drive, really has, by Skip.
Wozencroft and Spolman, this is for 11th. Sally Mott just up the road is in 10th. Haven't really talked a lot about her tonight, but it's a pretty solid run she's had.
She's had a fabulous, in that first race, she started a little bit farther back in the field, and at one point early in the race, she was dead last. So I wonder if she didn't get a little bit of damage from one of those incidents. But this race, I think she's, where did she originally? Yeah, 20th. So, and she's 10th, so that's one heck of a drive. But we saw flashes of this from her last year, didn't we? There was some serious pace here, and here we go, Beans.
Right by.
For the lead, yeah, just motored him.
How about 170 BPM? It was his peak.
Holy cow.
It's calmed down since, but
still.
It's still climbing right now, 135, 140.
Look at that focus. Right here, folks, this really shows you what makes the sim, and especially a full sim, so cool. Look at his eyes. And look, just like in real world racing, his eyes are up and looking well through the corner, well ahead of him.
He missed the gear.
He did.
And Rice-Puto wasn't really ready to pounce.
No, he wasn't quite close enough. Beans may have got away with one here. Ooh, Wanshi got, and Brock, now they're in a great little scrap too.
Yeah, Skip Brock has had a great race, 10th to 4th here.
Hasn't he? Yeah, really good.
So a completely different group, really, with the exception of Beans, because he was in that main group before, and Rice-Puto, I suppose, but everyone from 3rd on back has shifted around.
Yeah, they have, and what I'm waiting for here is one little, scrum here with these guys up front, and Trace Hans is going to be in. Beans missed the apex of Tower there, and that cost him a little bit. That's allowed Rice-Puto to come right back up on his 6. as they do this double apex left here through Bishop.
I thought he was going to stick it up the inside again like he did at the end of race 1, but he opted against that.
There, in the background, there's Hayden sitting in that 5th spot, about a second back right now. Both the guys up front running a little wide. Didn't seem to hurt him too much, and Rice Puto pops to the inside. So that may, yeah, it hurt Beans worse than it hurt Nicholas. Nicholas just driving right on by.
See if Beans can set him up again for that run down the front straight. He just motored by him last time around.
Oh, Wanchi looked a little bit wide there. But it doesn't look like Skip was close enough to really do much with it.
Yeah, I think Beans set up a really nice run here on this straightaway.
Well, they each have their strength sections, don't they?
They do, but again, Beans didn't get into 5th gear as efficiently as he was hoping. Waiting for this run on the exit of 1.
Does he pop here? No, not quite close enough.
Maybe letting things cool off a bit, tires and things, before he starts slinging it around again. We're getting down to the tail end of this race. We'll be 2 laps to go next time by. We're running a pretty quick pace.
Yeah, this has flown by, hasn't it?
It has. So with this only being 3 laps to go, I think maybe Beans is setting up for maybe one more big push before he overheats everything.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that Brock might be looking at that same concept here, trying to figure out a way to get to the podium. And then there's Hayden, just hoping. Just lost a little bit too much ground battling with Trace.
Whoa, did you just drop?
All right, here
Look,
we
I get
go.
the perfect run.
And into turn 13 here.
Fascinating, yeah. It's fascinating watching the study here. 13 so important. You attack it. That time Beans much better. Got a little bit more curve than he wanted, but didn't run out as far as Nicholas did. And here we go. Love this section of track here.
This is one of my favorite sections of racetrack in North America. I love the right, left,
Absolutely.
right. And then this setting up this turn 16 here, which always feels like you could have gained a little more speed by using a little more entry. I mean, you never feel like you got the best run ever out of there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like the pursuit of the perfect lap, the pursuit of the perfect Lamar corner.
Yeah, look at Hans in the background there. Well, and that, part of it too is you think, okay, I can get a little bit more, and then the next time you try and get that little bit more, and you're just a little bit too much, and you're off on the exit. Ooh, look at that wide arc in here. Beans looking at the inside, but Rice Puto using a little wider arc through that corner, maybe giving him the opportunity to flow a little bit more exit speed here.
2 laps.
He's not as close as he was.
2 laps to go.
Brock is just glued to the back of Wanchi there. That's the battle of the final podium spot here.
And Wanchi's a little bit wide.
Yeah, that's going to scrub some speed there. Skip not quite close enough.
As soon as one of these battles fires off, and for Wanchi and Skip, they're hoping it's the front battle that fires off.
You bet.
But it's going to either, if it's the front 2, make this a 4-car fight, or if it's the rear 2, it'll reduce it to a 2-car fight for the win.
Well, I wonder if that's the one thing for Skip that's kind of having him not attack. It looks like there are spots. He's certainly got speed, but maybe he's just saying, do I want this to be for third, or do I want this to be for the win? And there's that little part of the chess game too, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if you're Skip Brock Jr. and you're going to look up the road and think that maybe your opportunities are over for the win, so you'll be satisfied going for third. Wanchi is going to want to stay exactly where he is for the next 3 minutes and 45 seconds. He doesn't want to fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He just wants these 2 up front to get into it a little bit here.
Rice Puto has run a really nice race. He'd love to get a victory after coming so close in race 1, but getting tangled with Morgan Burkhardt, it allowed Beans to sneak through and steal one. And Beans would like to go 2 for 2, sweep Sebring, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And You know, if it finishes like this, a third and a first for Nicholas and a first and a second for Beans, that's a pretty darn good start here. Either way you look at it. Boy, Beans really aggressive on turn in there.
Rice Budo had a really decent run through there. I thought he was going to give up some time, but he executed that.
Yeah, he got through there with a huge head of steam. Beans actually is going to be under fire here, possibly from Wan Chi. Is Wan Chi going to sit back, or is he going to attack here into 17? Opts to pause for a minute. And he did open up a couple of car lengths to Brock. So this should be last lap, right?
It will be coming to the white, and we will see that now. There it is, last lap.
There it is. All right, what happens now? Manis, pretty comfortable 5th right now.
Brock's going for it.
Oh, he dove to the inside, you're right. Wan Chi. Yep. Pretty gentlemanly racing there. They both gave each other a little bit of room, but Brock, because Wan Chi was, I think Wan Chi just scrubbed a little bit more speed at the exit of 1. And that's why Brock was able to slice through pretty clearly here. But look at what that little exchange did. That margin immediately blossoms up to a good half a second or more.
That was what I was pointing out before. If you want to fight for the win, you've got to stay coordinated until the very end. Rice Budo fades over to cover Beans. He did that in turn 3 as well, but Beans isn't ready to pounce just yet.
No, he feinted to the inside, didn't he? But knew he wasn't close enough. Oh, look at this. Wan Chi almost got a fender up underneath Brock at the exit of the hairpin.
Didn't get the exit he needed, though. He's not closing.
He sure did. Oh, boy.
I thought he might. I thought he might.
I did too. Into Cunningham. Now the flick, the double left through Collier.
Watch that heart rate on the left, climbing 162. Peak of 170 tonight.
Oh,
look at
both of them running wide.
163.
Yeah, Beans was too, but not quite as wide. But it was, boy, Rice Budo carried good exit speed though, didn't he?
He did. But it doesn't matter because we have this long straightaway where it's going to be hard to protect.
All right, here we go. Here's that little flick. Exit of Jean de Bien through 16.
Nicely done.
Yeah, both of them getting through there very, very well.
I don't know if it's going to be enough to get to him or past him, but it'll be enough to get to him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you can see Nicholas just bobbing and weaving, trying to break any kind of toe. But here comes Beans. He feinted in and now pops out. He's planning on the exit here. Rice Budo's going to try and cover it.
Here he comes.
Beautifully.
He's going to get him, though.
Oh, but he cuts underneath. It's the drag race now. Who is going to get it here? Beans had a really good momentum here. Oh, how close do you like it?
Wow.
I'm waiting to make sure. It looks like 12 1,000ths for Rice Budo.
That's it. 12 1,000ths.
Holy cow. Yeah, when Nicholas moved down and covered him, I really thought that was it, you know. But man, he just got some great exit speed.
I thought Beans had that run. I thought he did. It was executed perfectly.
Oh, it was, yeah, look at that.
He just needed to pinch it a little bit more than I think was ideal.
Yeah,
but
I think that's absolutely right.
Almost got there.
Look at that. Then he's doing that little side draft. Look at that.
How about that? 12 thousandths.
All right. I have a feeling that 2025 is going to be pretty fun, Kyle.
I would say so.
Look at that.
I mean, Sebring has always put on a good show, but I think even now it's going to be even better than it has been. Let's have a look at our race results.
Yeah, look at that margin of victory, 12 1,000ths. Then a little bit back to Skip Brock. A great drive for Skip after having that problem, or not a problem, but not a great qualifying in the first race, dropping way back, fighting his way up onto the podium. Wan Chi Lin in 4th, Hayden Manis in 5th, Hans, Elliott Burton, Bob Mueller, Josh Kleiderbach. Look at that recovery drive by Wozy, Andrew Wozencroft, up into the top 10.
Yeah,
well played.
Really nicely done there for Wozy to make it back up into that top 10. Here's a look. Deacon Greenfield recovering from a couple issues tonight. P11 in that number 20. Sally Mott ended up 12th after that. Seth Spolman, Jim Friedhofer, Wayne Buttermore, your top 15. Then Arif Aziz, Josh Bakari, 16th and 17th. And these are the drivers that didn't have the days they were hoping for. Court Schmidt involved in an accident early. Andrew Guada, Al Ducharme also down towards the bottom. And then for these three, heartbreak for some of our front runners from race one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, James Newell showing some tremendous speed here. Johnny Morrow, I think this was the best race I've seen him run. And to have it all come unglued in that moment of contact. And then Morgan getting caught out really early in the race and ending up done. Now, you do get a couple of drops in this first, each of these 50 race seasons, but you hate to start off, with your first race event almost certainly being a drop. That's just, you don't have any buffer left now, do you?
You certainly don't, and it's going to be a hole to dig out of, I think, for Burkhardt a little bit later in the season. Let's talk with Skip Brock Jr., P3 in race number 2. Stole it from Wan Shi Lin in the closing moments there. Take us through that fight for the podium in race 2.
Yeah, obviously I was just holding back the whole race, and Wanji was like faster than me pretty much everywhere except like the last turn and the first turn. So I kind of had to just take the chance I got and hope I could battle for third. And I missed my shift from third to fourth and ruined the chance for a battle for first. But still, yeah, it was a good race.
Well, it looked like you didn't get the qualifying run you wanted for the first race. I think you started back at 13th and got involved early. You had to fight like crazy to get up into a position where you could make a drive like this, Skip, and you did that. And then this race was just superb.
Yeah, I don't know if it counts for last to first, if I was last in the first race and then third in the second race, but it feels like last to first. It was a rough qualifying, obviously a rough race one, but I'm proud of myself for managing to recover. I knew I had the pace to be in the top pack. I just had to get up there.
Well, you did, and then you end up on the podium, so well done. Great recovery.
Thank you.
Thanks, Skip. We'll move on now to, how about Beans Forster? It was first in race 1, second in race 2, but only by 12 1/1000ths of a second. That was close. We watched the heart rate climb to nearly peak there, Beans. Take us through it. That was fun.
Man, I felt like I just ran 3 miles. I think that's probably the last time I had my heart rate that high. It's really interesting to see, though, especially on the graph, how long it stays high. Because, I could feel it, but I have no idea, what it exactly is. So having the heart rate monitor is really cool. And it helps me to start to breathe again and actually, kind of calm myself down. Try to, at least.
12 1/1000ths. I think if you hadn't trimmed your beard, you might have won that, man. It was so close. Let's talk real quick now. 2 races in, tell us, for the viewers that are watching, tell us what you feel from the driver's perspective, the difference between this and last year's Spec Miata.
Well, so this car, it's a lot faster. The draft is wicked. When you got 2 cars in a line pushing, you can walk past 1.5 cars, maybe even 2, depending on the straight. So the draft is super important. But you still have to save your tires. And I think that was a big killer for some of the drivers in race 1, because me, Nick, and Morgan were up there hanging in the front. And towards the second half of the race, we just saw drivers kind of dropping back. But it raced a lot better than I thought. We were able to stay a lot closer for longer, and the tires didn't fall off as wicked as it did in the other car.
All right. Well, that's obviously, I would think, something to do with the weight, obviously, and the like. Now, talk us through that attack in turn 17 on that last lap.
So it worked in race 1 when Nick and Morgan were going side by side. Unfortunate that contact happened, but I figured I was going to make it through that in that first race anyway, even if they were to have kept it on track. So I was sitting behind Nick, and I saw him go deep a couple times, and I was able to just dump it down into third and then catch right back up and shoot past him on the exit. And so I've tried that move so many times in the league in past seasons, and it's never worked for me. I've never had the tires at the end of the race to actually do it. And I think twice in a row right now. I'm surprised that I was able to get it done, but that's kind of what my plan was based on the driving that I was seeing Nick do going into 17.
Well, it darn near worked for a sweep here. That was about as close as it gets. Absolutely great race, Beans. Both of them.
Thanks, Greg. That was almost unbelievable. It was so much fun for race number 1.
Thanks, Beans.
Thanks, Kyle.
And Nicholas Rice-Puto comes home and wins one in race 2, just shy in race number 1 after getting tangled up there with Morgan at the very, very end. But a fun night of racing with this kind of rethought car in the SMX setup and configuration this time, Nicholas. How much fun was it up there battling?
That was a lot of fun. Both races were a lot of fun. It feels good to get a win off the rip because I think I didn't get a win all season until the last race last season, so it felt good to get one early.
And one thing that hasn't changed is you guys, Morgan, Beans up at the front, getting after it seriously here. And it just looked like, the cars seem to be a bit more racy, but you still have to play that same strategy game. What was going through your mind as you were starting the last lap in race 1 and this race?
In race 1, I knew I was going to be in trouble if I didn't go for the move into 14 because Beans would have evidently made it 3 wide down the back straight, which happened, but I was glad I was on the inside. So that move into 14 put me on the inside. So that's what I've been kind of working on last lap plays and because that's where I've been struggling in the past. It's just not being able to, get the win on the last lap. So I was experimenting with that. Seemed to work. Until
nice.
It didn't.
Well, yeah, you played it right, obviously.
Yeah, I got the position I wanted to, where I wanted to be. So I think it was a racing incident between Morgan and I. Yeah.
Yeah, and you at least were able to limp it through and still get third place points.
Yeah, I would have been a lot more upset if I couldn't do that.
I bet. But then Beans, full attack mode here in race 2, and that margin of victory, 12 1,000ths. That was just extraordinary.
Yeah, I had to slow up and park it on the apex pretty hard into 17. And I slowed down a little too much because he still got a run on me. But it was a lot of fun all night racing. So it's good to be back. The cars definitely draft a lot better and they're better on the brakes. So I think we'll have a lot more exciting racing to come this season.
Well, both Kyle and I were commenting that visually the cars look like they're just much more responsive just in watching. And it sounds like you guys are feeling that in the cockpit. I can't wait for the rest of the season. This is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm not going to lie. I really want that shifter prize. That thing's pretty cool. So it's the one thing my rig is missing. So I'll be gunning for that this season.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious carrot, man. Absolute congratulations. You're coming out of the box with a win and a third and some nice points, man. Well played.
Thank you. Are you going to be at the Super Tour on Saturday at Sebring, Greg, or Kyle?
No, I don't know if Kyle will be. Unfortunately, I'm going to be. I'm doing a Indy Autonomous Challenge race. In Vegas.
I'm glad that you're doing that because I couldn't. So I didn't know you were doing that. Good for you.
Oh yeah. And then I got a busy weekend at the Concourse Club, so I won't be there.
Oh, okay. It will be my first Super Tour I'm running in Spec Racer, so it should be a lot of fun.
Man. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let us know how you're doing.
I will.
All right, man. Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
Hey, see ya.
Yeah, Indy Autonomous.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Anyway, what a great night. Fun series. I think there's a lot that we learned this evening, and I'm really excited to see how CTMP is going to race. That place can be tricky because your main passing opportunity goes into a really fast S-curve out there, but that's going to be a fun one next week.
Well, that's I think the only place we've seen in the previous 2 seasons where Morgan Burkhardt was on his roof.
Yeah, and let's hope he turns around his fortunes because 24th and 23rd, not a great start for him for this season.
No, not at all. But that just also to me points out just what an incredibly treacherously fast place that is, and the draft there is going to be just absolutely mega. So can't wait for that. That will be, and of course, do remember, folks, that the plan. We still have the racecraft academies. We still have practices, and You can still get individual training if you want. So that remains unchanged, as does the phenomenal support from Court and Full Send Sims. Just absolutely superb. Big thank you to them and to the other sponsors as well. Farah for being a part of it as always. And then the two sponsors that have been with us from the very beginning, they are just absolutely extraordinary, and so lucky to have them on board with us. Rob Greenwood and 3P Logistics, just an absolutely just a great program. And then Final Turn, again, if you're going to go racing, I would really look at one of those two groups to help you do your track prep and get ready to go. And then, of course, Wine Country Motorsports. Always have to say a big thank you to them. So that wraps things up. Kyle, cannot wait for my friend.
Yeah, CTMP, it's going to be a blast. Heading up north of the border next week, but we'll have to say goodbye from Sebring for now, Greg. But fun to be back.
It is fun. These new cars are going to be awesome, and we're going to have some great racing next week, eh? We're looking forward to it. We will see you then. Take care, everybody.